Hi, and welcome to the Digital Digging YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be looking at the Bristol Beaufighter, both in history and in the game of War Thunder. Work on the Bristol Beaufighter began in 1938 on the initiative of the Bristol Aviation Company, when it became apparent that diplomacy with Germany wasn't working and that Britain didn't have a decent long-range heavy fighter to hand. The Westland Whirlwind, which was intended to fill this role, had been delayed, so a stopgap measure was needed, and like the Spitfire Mark IX, another stopgap solution, the Bristol Beaufighter became a firm favourite with its pilots. The designers at Bristol, led by Leslie Fries and Roy Fedden, committed themselves to incorporating components from existing aircraft to speed up the manufacturing process, resulting in the Beaufighter's wings, aft fuselage, control surfaces and landing gear being virtually identical to the Beaufort, but for a little local re-stressing here and there, and the nacelles being strengthened to take the Bristol Hercules 14-cylinder engines. This expediency allowed the company to complete a working prototype a mere 9 months after the completion of the detailed drawings. Entering service in July 1940, the Bristol Beaufighter had an empty weight of 14,000 pounds or 6,350 kilograms, a little under twice that of the Blenheim, and came with formidable hitting power, chiefly consisting of 4 20mm Hispano cannon in the nose. And although an effective belt feed was available, a foul-up by the Air Ministry resulted in the first 400 aircraft being delivered with drum feeds, meaning that the observer sitting behind the pilot had to change them by hand, pulling the 60-round drums off racks and trying to slot them onto the guns correctly, often during rapid manoeuvres. These were supplemented by 6 7.7mm Browning machine guns mounted asymmetrically on the wings. The other thing it carried, of course, was airborne interception radar. This meant that the British now not only had a method of detecting individual nighttime fighters, but also the means to destroy them in what, for the German pilots, must have been the most shocking way imaginable. As for the Beaufighter pilots, the sturdy construction meant that it could remain airborne even after a great deal of punishment, but if the going got too tough, the 2 escape hatches in the belly were designed so that on opening, airflow was directed downward and created a pocket of still air for the pilot and observer to jump through, in theory allowing them to get clear of the aircraft's structure. If on the other hand the aircraft had landed on its belly, the crew could leave using counterpart hatches in the roof. The Beaufighter was adapted to a number of purposes and went through a great number of marks, with the Mark X being the most numerous of them, numbering 2,205 of the 5,562 Beaufighters constructed in the UK. This aircraft had the TF designation, marking it out as a torpedo fighter, but it could also carry underwing rockets and 1,000 pound or 453 kilos of bombs, which could be increased by the same weight again in lieu of a torpedo. The rockets mounted by the Mark X came in 2 forms, with 60 pound or 27 kilogram high explosive warheads, the damage from which was hardly trivial. However, the 25 pound or 11 kilogram solid steel warheads were found to be highly effective against shipping, being able to penetrate one side of a cargo ship, travel through its cargo of coal, and exit the other side, leaving a 3-foot or 1-meter hole in its wake. In the game, the Mark X is a Tier 3 aircraft with a battle rating of 3.7. It has a maximum speed of 324 miles per hour or 522 kilometers per hour and a turn time of 26.5 seconds. It's armed with 4 20mm Hispano cannon in the nose, supplied with 1,132 rounds of ammunition and a reload time of 40 seconds, and 6 7.7 Browning machine guns across the wings with 6,000 rounds of ammunition and a reload time of 15 seconds. It also has a single 7.7mm Browning machine gun with 1,000 rounds and a reload time of 15 seconds in the rear-facing turret behind the cockpit. It can also carry 8 RP-3 rockets mounted on the wings, or a single 1,521 pound or 690 kilogram Mark 12 torpedo. As in history, the Beaufighter Mark X can be an incredibly effective aircraft when used properly. With its decent rocket load and its more than generous amount of cannon concentrated in the nose, this aircraft is quite at home farming ground targets. However, the genuinely devastating firepower can of course be turned on enemy aircraft. If you've yet to fly a Beaufighter, you may be forgiven for thinking that dogfighting in one of these is off the cards, and although it's not necessarily recommended as a first use, this heavy-looking aircraft has been known to cause some very unpleasant feelings of surprise in unwary opponents. Hit the combat flaps and the Beaufighter can prove itself to be a highly manoeuvrable heavy fighter that can give significantly lighter aircraft a good run for their money. Right, that's it for another video. If you're feeling well disposed towards it, you may want to dispense a like. If on the other hand you found it unsatisfactory or it genuinely annoyed you for some reason, then please feel free to dislike it. If you're on the fence about the whole thing and you haven't subscribed yet, then you may want to do so now and watch a couple more episodes to help you come to a conclusion. Either way, well done for getting this far. Cheerio chaps, and I may well see you for the next one. Bye bye.